So I finally did it. I finally sat down and watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which was definitely on my to-watch list, and I have to say, this movie was a very, very pleasant surprise because it brought up some really cool new characters into the mix, and genuinely, I really like this movie. Now, before I go any further, I do believe that I will be speaking about some spoilers talking about this movie, so I'm just going to leave that spoiler warning for you, because I will get into some spoilers about a few things that happen in this movie. So if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. It's already on digital platforms. Go download it, rent it, buy it, whatever. Get a DVD of it, watch it, and then come back and watch this video, because I will be getting into some spoilers, and I want to make sure that you guys aren't really involved. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting off with the fact that the last movie that I watched that was Marvel before this one was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, that movie alone, I feel like I shouldn't even make a video of Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania, because it just didn't. Here's the thing. Of all the Ant-Man movies that I've watched, I feel like the hardest amount of work went into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Quantumania is the one that they worked hardest on. So, and the other two felt like indie movies to me. Now, I know that this has nothing to do with Guardians of the Galaxy, but considering that the last one that I saw was that one, and before that was Thor: Love and Thunder, yeah, which a lot of people regard to as not the best movies in the MCU. Between Quantumania and Love and Thunder, I'd lean more into Love and Thunder more compared to Quantumania. Let's just put it like that. But considering that the bar to entry for Guardians Volume 3 wasn't already high to begin with, believe it or not, it surpassed a lot of my expectations. Now, what kind of expectation was I expecting? I was expecting the same sort of silly, sort of, funny, Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And sure, this movie has that. This movie has its funny moments. The moments where you're like, oh, this is funny. This is something that I want to talk about. This is something that I want to share with my friends. It does have those moments. But they are few and far between, because I feel like this story lets comedy take a back seat, and it focuses more on its characters, its relationships. It focuses a little bit more on some more mature subjects. And this movie feels a whole lot more mature than the last two Guardians movies. In this movie, it feels more grown up. We already catch right off the bat in the first, in the beginning of the movie, we see Rocket kind of like walk through them. They're on nowhere. I had no idea that they were kind of like just stationed in nowhere now. I mean, since the Guardians Holiday Special, which was really good, by the way, if you haven't watched it, Guardians Holiday Special was really fun to see and watch, and I'd probably go back and watch it this year during the holidays as well, because it was really fun. But after seeing Holiday Special, they are stationed in nowhere now, so it's their base. They have control over nowhere and all the trinkets that it has. But I find it really funny that right there in the beginning of the movie, we see Rocket kind of go through them and kind of see them living their lives and stuff, and Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, is not having the best time of his life, and he feels pretty crappy because, he lost. I mean, he even goes into a spiel in this movie about what happens from Infinity War onward. But he is very much adamant that, he lost the woman that he loved. She then comes back into his life in a way, but she's not the same woman that he had before. The Gamora that loved him and cared for him in, the first two Guardian movies is not the same woman that we see in this one. Because of the events of Endgame, and I hate to rep the purple color because of Thanos, but the fact is that she is not the same person. She's not the same person that we see now. Because now she's a Ravager, and now she's living her life, away from him. She's not one of the Guardians anymore. So it is a complicated subject for him. So to see him so distraught and run down is kind of weird for a Guardians movie, because you start to see there's some weight here that's been put on them in a way. But having said just that portion alone, that's kind of the only real time we see him really sad throughout the entire movie. But this movie has to be, Rocket's movie. This is literally Rocket's movie. Guardians Volume 3 is Rocket's movie because we learn a little bit more about, his background, where he came from, why he's so defensive, why he's so grungy and mad at a lot of people. And it has to do with, how he was brought up. And unfortunately, this whole thing that happened in his life is very traumatic. I have to say that this movie does not mince words. It shows you, how badly, Rocket was treated, and it kind of makes you feel, something for him. It makes you want to go back and rewatch those movies, including, the Avengers movies that he's in, and kind of see him through different eyes, because he is a little bit fragile in a way, but he defends himself because, he's been given this sort of incredible, mind, and he's a very intelligent creature. So seeing that play out throughout this movie is really interesting, and definitely something that will stick with me for a while, specifically for a Marvel movie. Now, in terms of villains, we get the High Evolutionary, which I'm not gonna say he was scary. He's not a super scary villain. He is a villain. That's as much as I can say. He's a sort of mad scientist in a way. He's the type of character we've seen before in other types of media. But the connection that Rocket in his past has to the High Evolutionary just makes you want to see Rocket just kick his ass, literally just destroy this guy and kind of, avenge himself. Yeah, I used avenge, sorry. But it just makes you excited to just root for him the entire movie because of that. And I really think that they did him justice in this movie. They definitely did him justice, even though that he is technically dead throughout the entire movie, and he really shines the last hour of the movie. It's really cool, and I had a really fun time seeing him in his last moments kind of really kick the High Evolutionary's ass. And when it comes down to the conclusion of this movie, I think the conclusion overall of this movie was really good. It's hard to have a good ending, a good finale to a Marvel movie, and this one had a really fun kind of celebratory ending, and it kind of celebrates each individual member in a way. And then I just love that sort of ending part where they're all just partying and having a really cool time. And I just love that. You know, it's rare to get these like sort of really fun moments in movies nowadays, where you're just like, it's like really light and fun, and everybody's just having a blast, and you know, being able to see Groot say something other than "I am Groot" at the very end of the movie is really funny. You know, saying like, "I love you guys." Like, that is so weird. Like, to see him say something other than "I am Groot." Man, that was hilarious. Hilarious. I just laughed out loud when I heard that. And obviously, we have to mention the elephant in the room at the end of the movie that a few people talked, and other people have talked, but not a whole lot of people talked about. But that ending to the movie where Peter officially goes to Earth. He actually comes to Earth and actually finds his grandfather. And that moment was like, kind of like hits you right in the chest. Because it's so like tender. Like, he's always wanted to be with his family in a way. Like, of course he built a family in space with the Guardians and, you know, with the Ravagers before then. And having seen him kind of like try to like, you know, confess the love that he has for Gamora, to Gamora throughout the entire movie, you know, in little subtle ways, trying to see if he could win her back in a way. It was very interesting, and I thought it was like really sweet that they actually did that, because he deserves it. He deserves some closure from that, you know, traumatic point in time where he wasn't with her. And, you know, the fact that toward the end of the movie, like, she kind of like confesses that she was like, you know, we were probably really good together, and, you know, kind of leaves that little seed there for us so that in future movies we might be able to see them get back together again, and that would be very, very, very much fun. And again, I'd like to reiterate, I would like to see Star-Lord just on Earth. Like, I just want to see him like mowing the lawn, like they mentioned in the movie. I'd like to see him like learn how to drive. Just I know that he kind of did it in the movie, like a quick little moment, but like, I'd love to see him learn how to drive. Like, that would be awesome. Or see him like do groceries, or try to, you know, go to an event and trying to speak to people, or kind of like knock on like Avengers HQ's door and be like, "Hey guys, I'm on Earth," you know, or something really fun. I think they can do a lot with putting him on Earth and see how he adapts to Earth's, you know, day-to-day life. This alone would be an awesome opportunity that Disney could definitely bank on. So overall, I think they nailed it. This was a really fun movie. I really don't see a whole lot to critique here for this movie. It's a really nice movie, very mature, very mature. It gets into themes that are very mature, and it kind of lets you, you know, not see the comedic thing very often. They're very like small moments where you can like stop and laugh, but this movie is a lot more mature, and for like a Marvel project that is known for its comedy, this is a much more mature version of that. And if they're gonna, you know, continue on in this sort of like way for the rest of the MCU, I don't know, man. Maybe the MCU can be saved. And if you haven't seen the video where I talk about the MCU being in sort of a nosedive, I'll leave the thumbnail right here so that you guys can find it. And yeah, go watch that video, because I get into a little bit more of the subject of why the MCU is in a bit of a nosedive, and why it's, you know, not really picking up speed, specifically right now. And I want to know from you what you guys think of Guardians Volume 3. I know I rambled a little bit about this movie today, but I wanted to hear from you what you guys think. If you guys watch this movie in theaters, let me know. I'd like to know what you guys thought of this movie, because I had a lot of fun watching it, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to let others know to actually go watch this movie. So go ahead, go in the comments, let's have this discussion, let's talk about this movie, and while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.